My name is Jonah Anthony Silva. I am the co-owner of Crimson Violet Production. I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a musician. Um, yeah, I do as much as I can for this thing. And now I'm being uh, interviewed by the legendary Laxton.
You ready
Yeah,
for the
I'm
questions?
so ready.
All right. You've been writing short films for a while now.
Yeah.
Was there one particular moment where you discovered that this was your passion?
Um, so I knew I wanted to make films since the ripe old age of 9 when I watched Daredevil, because that is an amazing show, and I'm probably gonna reference it like 20 times throughout this interview because it's that impactful to me. But I didn't start writing short films because at first I didn't think it was a feasible thing that I could do, that I could make movies at the age that I am or that I was. I didn't think that this would be a thing that I would be doing throughout high school and now starting college. Um, until Cranston High School West Film Club happened. I went in there with Dean Laro, famous rapper Dean Laro, and I met Cam Laxton as well as your friends, and um, we got to making a short film, a really crappy horror film, and we didn't even have a script, and it was that summer where I learned as much as I could about writing a script, writing a real, like, formatted, normal person script. Because I had a YouTube channel. I'm not going to say what it is, but you can find it out there. I used to have a YouTube channel. I made little, stupid little skits and, like, stupid little videos. And, um, yeah. And that was just a little thing. And then I think I was like 14 or 15, and I was writing a little comic with my boy Matt, who lives in like Texas or something. I don't remember. He moved a lot, but I was writing a comic, and then I learned what actually writing a script is, and then I saw, well, I didn't see right then and there, but I was thinking of a Dawn commercial, and I was like, what if someone did that with a stick? And then I wrote it with the goal of being as funny as possible, as quickly as possible. And then Cameron took it to a whole new level and made it as beautiful as possible while still being really funny. And from there, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Let's just keep doing it.
Right. Who are your specific role models or inspirations in the industry? Writers, actors, directors?
In the industry, um, I really mess with uh, John Favreau, who made Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2, and then Chef, which is about the terrible production of Iron Man 2. And I really dig that. I really dig it when they're able to, when artists are able to make a piece of art about something else that happened in their life, but like mask it in such a way that it's a seamless story. If you wouldn't even know if you were just watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like I literally just I like saw it in some YouTube channel, and they explained that to me, and I was like, wow, that's nuts. Um, I really like, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the guy who did Whiplash.
Damien
And
Chazelle.
yes, and La La Land, he did La La Land too, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Because I grew up in a family of musicians. My father plays guitar. My brother Jake plays every instrument under the sun. My brother Ben plays bass. I play keys. I play bass. So weaving music into a film, into a story, is just really, really cool to me. And that's what led to my song. My song is me trauma dumping about my negative music experiences. Um, but those things inspire me a lot. And certain actors, like, again, Charlie Cox as Daredevil, when he talks about the role, um, and the way certain people, like David Cornsweet Superman, the way he talks about Superman is he really cares about the character, but he also cares about what the character means. And I think that's really important as well, when you get not just the character himself on like a personal level, on like who he is and what he does, but in a meta text of like what they mean, to like what they mean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think people who generally people who weave their personal experiences into their art, people that weave music into other forms of art, and people that understand their art in a meta setting and in a literal sense.
Hmm. Also, just one thing: make sure you're glancing at the camera from time to time. Make sure it's still on recording.
Oh yeah, that's important.
All right, next question. Being 100% honest, because a lot of people will lie about this.
Yeah.
How much do you think about other people's reactions to your films while you work on them?
While I work on them,
While you're writing or acting in them?
while I'm writing, the intrusive thought does have. I have censored myself a couple times just because I'm like, maybe this is too much. Maybe this is oversharing a little bit. Maybe this is getting a little too personal. But generally, other people cannot and will not stop me from making the story that I want. The only thing that concerns me is whether or not it's good. And like, and so that's when, and I also really care what you think. You, Cameron Laxton, the person sitting across from me. I care what you think because you're my director. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're much more of a visual mind than I am. You know, so when I write scripts, it's very like dialogue-y. Like with that one thing that I showed you, and you told me, and you keep telling me that I could write more through the visuals, or I could tell more of the story through the visuals. I'm always thinking about that. About that. I'm like, do I need to say this, or will they just get it? And that's the crazy thing about my song, is that originally it was a school project for Mr. Lancia. Shout out Mr. Lancia. And the challenge was to write no dialogue, and then after I rewrote it, to have like, I needed a couple lines or so. But other than that, it was largely unchanged because I was confident that you and I can tell the story through mostly visuals, and people got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was afraid that people won't get it, but so many people just get it, and that's the craziest and also the most important thing to me. So, in conclusion, I think about what other people are going to think when I either get confusing or if I need to think about the quality of the thing itself.
respect that a lot. And is your future goal as a filmmaker something that you think of often that motivates you, or do you try to keep your thoughts in the present moment?
See, a big part of why I want to be a filmmaker is deep down in my 9-year-old heart, I want to make superheroes. Deep down in my 9-year-old heart, that is what I want to do. I like to think that I'm good at it, so I think about that very often. But in terms of other stories that I'm currently writing that I currently want to get out there, I'm thinking mostly not about timeline, but more about, do I have resources to do this? Like with the robot thing. I wrote that in 10th grade. And I was like, we can just save that for later because we can't make a robot. Or we can't right now make a robot. Or we need more resources to make a robot costume or something like that. So I think less in timeline and more in, can we physically do it?
I see. And do you, using your best judgment, truly believe that your goal is within realistic reach?
Um,
I mean this in the most like earnest question sense possible, not trying to put you down or anything.
yeah. If you were to ask me 3 years ago, I'd say hell fuck no. If you were to ask me now, I think with the trajectory that our work is going in, which is upward, I'd say it is possible.
Now, there's a lot of discussion about the state of studio filmmaking in general. Uh, what is your opinion on this current era of the art form? And if you had major influence in the industry, what would you do to improve it?
Okay, so the big loaded question about big loaded topic. I think it sucks that there are movies out there that are just made to make money when that the money that went into the money making thing could have been used to fuel someone else's vision, like the, not to call out the Smurfs, but the Smurfs movie where the marketing was just Rihanna is Smurfette. That pissed me off so much because that is the only thing going for that movie. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it. I've only seen the credits while I was cleaning up the theater. But it, the fact that all that they could say about the movie was that Rihanna was in it really rubs me the wrong way. And it's like stunt casting and like stunt marketing like that really irks me, because to me movies are about stories, and if you don't have a good story that says something about something, then why do you make a movie?
I get that, but don't forget influencer Smurf. It's a big deal.
Not really. It's not. Like,
It's a huge deal.
I just stuff like that really irks me, and I found it really refreshing that Sinners was a big success and that was a big thing. I found it really refreshing that they let Thunderbolts be Thunderbolts. I found, especially after Captain America Brave New World, I hate that movie. I can go on and on about how much I despise that movie. It's a good thing that the marketing for Thunderbolts was like this filmmaker that made this other film. I think that's cool because people that are passionate about filmmaking made this film, and you can tell it when you watch the film. And then it's the same thing with Superman. They brought color back to Superman. They brought heart back to Superman. David Cornsweet, James Gunn, they all care about this character. They all care about these big things that they've been given the keys to. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
So when films come out that are just Rihanna is Smurfette or something like that, it it really bothers me because I know that there are like 10,000 at least other dudes that are so much more passionate about making an actual movie than the poor than the poorly paid intern that made the trailer watched the movie and was like, we only got this one thing. Like, I don't know, that really bothers me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And similar question: the political state of the world has been on the mind of any filmmaker, really.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a sense of global optimism, films can afford to be dark and gritty. But whenever there's a dark time, like right now in the post-COVID era, there's a new obsession with films about optimism and hope and kindness. Like right now with Superman, and even films like Wicked, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So how much does the modern political, social state of the world around you affect what you put into your art?
I think when the world is when the world is hurt and the world is hurting, then it is important for something to be uplifting, and that's why we get your Superman and your Thunderbolts and your Wicked. But I also think that as an individual, using your art to talk about the things and the issues that matter to you is, to an extent, film is one of the most powerful tools to talk about those things. Fiction in general is probably the most powerful and accessible tool to do these things. That's why censorship exists, so that people stop talking about it. But personally, I don't let... I feel like my stories in particular would happen no matter what's happening. You know, the stick happened, what was it, like right after COVID.
Yeah.
And that was a particularly cheery movie. And it didn't come out at that time for a reason besides we met up and we did it.
Yeah.
My song didn't happen because of censorship, even though it could be seen as that. It's because of my personal experiences. You know what I'm saying? And like part of that is what's happening politically and globally and stuff like that. But like 90% of the films is just my personal experience.
So the trope of the miserable writer is one we've all heard before. Everyone has hard times, but only some people can channel those negative experiences into something real. Do you think this applies to you? Do your ideas come from a dark place in your mind?
Yes.
And furthermore, what specific moments in your life fuel you as a writer?
Oh boy, that's... First of all, yes. That's very apparent in the way that I've talked about my song and the way that I do talk in One Night. It's very apparent that those struggles are very real to me. Yeah, but 2024 was very difficult for me. It was a very hard time. And I felt like I'm gonna get into specifics as to why my song exists. My song, I mean, not my song, fuck, 2024. How did I get those two mixed up? 2024 was a very difficult time for me. It was, my grandfather was, suffering through cancer, and, and I was having difficulty finding work, and, I was just generally in a slump, and I picked up a lot of stuff to do. I picked up, another instrument. I picked up, we tried to film things. I tried writing a lot more, and and I joined a lot of bands, and I did a lot of music. And at some point, when you're carrying so much, even if it is something that I like music, it's, my shoulders were hurting, my chest was hurting, my chest still hurts sometimes. It's gotten better, but, yeah, I've been kind of, so when I was in my music slump, that's how my song was born, because I was tired of being everyone's just piano guy, like, I didn't, it was to the point where I stopped being the guy who made the stick, and I started being the guy that plays piano, and I didn't want that, you know what I'm saying? Music is a thing that I like, it is a hobby, but it is in no way something that I want to, that I'd like to spend the rest of my life doing. I like scoring the films, I like my metal band, I like jamming with people every once in a while, but taking on 3-4 bands at once was really torturous. And it wasn't even bands that I was particularly into. No offense to the Cranston High School West Jazz Band, but I wasn't 100% in it. You know what I'm saying? I was just in there because other people that I liked were in there. And, so that's what led to my song. It was just me being, tired of being everyone's little piano boy. And, because I want to do film. People all last year thought that I was gonna be a music major, go into music, teach music, whatever. And I was like, no. No. And I kind of brought myself back into being a film guy by tying in my music slump into the medium and doing it in a way that was, number one, feasible, and number two, really important for me, and it was a really important story for me to tell to other people because of how I treated myself. You know what I'm saying? So my personal experiences, my slumps, my anxiety, my whatever medical issues I have, whatever happens when I look in a mirror, that's all poured into my films.
And now the opposite, the highlights of your life, the best moments of your life show in your work.
Once again, absolutely. Back to my song. I'm gonna relate it back to my song because that's one night was just depressing. One night was just me being really sad. With my song, I really liked playing out. I really love actual concerts. I really love it. I really do. Especially with my metal band, Damn Saint. And, so the feeling of making something original, like any of the songs or the stick. There was a little bit of the stick in my song, being that we kind of personified the piece of music into this thing that the artist loved, and it's something that the pianist, like guy one, loved the stick. The pianist loves the music, and so that kind of joy was something that was real to me. It's something that I felt for other things before, and it's something that I've seen come out of other people. Um, so those moments are my optimism, my happiness is the payoff to all of my struggle. And it's true, and it's like that in my films.
Yeah. Now, final question. In a way, films are just visual essays. They have a central idea, they have personal anecdotes, and they have a conclusion that leaves the world with a message. What is your primary message that you want to leave to the world?
There's a lot. There's a lot of messages that I would like to send to the world throughout my career. Um, so I'm gonna take it from start to the things that I'm currently writing. Um, the stick is about cherishing insignificant little, like, those hyperfixations that you have. It's about cherishing those things. The Minotaur is about, just literally playing with your brother. I have two brothers. I love uh, getting my ass kicked by them all my life. I loved hanging out with them, and I loved doing all these things with them. And the Minotaur was kind of, the ending was kind of just that. Did I want to do a sword fight in a movie? Yeah, but that was the message of that. I didn't write Cam's Crazy Cool Juice. My song is about pursuing what you want to do, not letting other people define who you are or what you should do. If you want to do something, you should do it, because any amount of success, for me personally, my happiness goes over success. My happiness is like, I can't breathe without doing what I want to do. I can't exist without filmmaking, without writing, without all that, you know? Um, One night is about actually opening up to someone or something, because that's something that I've really struggled to do throughout my entire life, and I still really struggle with it. I still really have a hard time opening up to people about my issues, because they're so, they're so hard to define. You know what I'm saying? Issues like that. Issues like your constant exhaustion, or like random bursts of sadness that I get from 9:30 to 10:45 last night. Um and so for future projects, they're going to be all about, sticking with your family no matter what you define as family. There's going to be a lot of treating strangers with kindness. It's gonna be a lot of being yourself. It's a lot of staying clear of, what do you call it, peer pressure. It's a lot of that. But overall, I think the common theme is being true to yourself and your reality and your truth. I think, now that I'm saying it all out loud, my overall message is being true to yourself and expressing yourself and speaking your truth.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Cam Laxton. I am the founder of Crimson Violet Productions, and today I'll be answering questions asked by co-founder of Crimson Violet Productions, Jonah Anthony Silva, whenever you're ready.
Okay, Cameron Laxton.
Yes?
What started your film journey?
Well, before the pandemic, I always knew I wanted to be somewhere in the film industry. I thought I wanted to be like a VFX artist or an animator or something. But as the pandemic went on, I watched more and more movies because I had nothing else to do. And specifically, Inception was literally my inception point uh, in my directing journey. That's when I knew I wanted to actually create my own film with my own idea rather than just work on films for someone else, you know?
Yeah. What about Inception speaks to you?
It's something about the visual language of it. When I first saw it, it was a point in my life where I literally only seen big franchise movies and whatever's popular at the time, and I had never seen Inception, even though it was this huge cultural phenomenon in the 2010s. I had just never gotten around to it, and it was the first time I ever like analyzed and paid attention to a movie like that, and emotionally it just hit me, and that music, everything just came together and made me want to man the ship of a film of that size, you know?
Yeah. Who outside of anyone in the film industry, so like outside of other directors, other writers, other whatevers, um, who outside of the film industry inspires you?
Um, Snowfall.
Fuck, and that was a really good question too.
We're just gonna continue.
Okay.
Um, Outside of the film industry,
Yeah.
um, well, I guess in terms of like my style of writing, because I do write occasionally. I have friends who are good writers. My friend Roman wrote a book and a script of their own, and just seeing their own drive to create stories inspired me in particular. Even though um, our creative visions for whatever we're creating aren't necessarily similar, but seeing other people, my all my friends basically create their own creative work, just tells me that I'm not the only loser trying to be an artist in 2025. You know.
Yeah. So anyone who's watched my song and one night at this point, at the point of filming, um, can tell you that you're very deep into visuals. How did you develop your visual style?
I think um, well, around the time I got into filmmaking, I also got into Blender animation, which is purely visual, and so my training in that software just kind of went hand in hand with my directing. I put like all my thought into visual storytelling because I do think it's underrated in the current state of film. I think that a lot of people only care about writing and acting, which are important, but they forget that it is a visual medium, and that having good visuals does equate to having a good story in many cases, as the visuals are the story. And I think it's a better way to communicate emotion than dialogue in some cases. And so I'm trying to bring that back into the art form because I think it's kind of been lost
Yeah.
in it.
So, what about visuals are essential to storytelling? Like, what about um, studying stuff like lighting, studying stuff like cinematography, stuff like that. What about those things in particular are as why are they essential?
Well, atmosphere is sort of its own character in film. Um, Establishing the tone uh, is like its own being. It exists alongside the story and it assists it in every way. And so if you have a perfect script with perfect actors, but they're just sitting in a flatly lit room, no one's going to feel anything. Even outside of film, you look at theater, the lighting there is intricate, the production design, it's all there. Hundreds of people work on them in one show, and there's a reason for that because that is sort of the basis of film. That's what it was created for. go back and watch the classics, the amount of storytelling that's told by just lighting and depth is shocking to see in the modern state of things.
What led you to direct The Stick?
The Stick was my beloved first short film. It was in Cranston High School West Film Club. Anthony Silva approached me, and he brought me the script. He said, "I wrote this. It's about a stick." And I read it, and I thought it was hilarious, and it was wonderful, and it was heartfelt, and I wanted to film it right away. Immediately, I had so many ideas. I wanted to get it done as fast as possible, but it was a great process, a learning process for sure. The movie turned out good, considering our minimal resources and whatnot, and I love looking back on it and seeing how far we've come and how much fun we had making it. And yeah, it changed my life when you think about it. Yeah,
It's nice. This isn't a question, but it's nice when you can look back on a thing that you did a while ago and still be proud of it.
yeah, yeah,
Because that's something that I personally have struggled with a lot,
absolutely.
except for the stick.
Right.
Um, what were some notable challenges you faced during the production of not just the stick, but any of your work in general?
Well, we've talked about the production of my song and how, in a lot of ways, we got pretty lucky. Not to say that we didn't put hard work into it, because of course we did. But when we went to film at Cranston West, we tried using the theater for the rehearsal scene, and we couldn't because we, for some reason, didn't check the theater schedule, and people were rehearsing in there, and they just so happened to be very nice people who showed us a sound recording booth sort of room that was perfect for the scene.
That was at CC.
That was at CCRI, where they let you film anywhere and do anything. It's great. And yeah, we had to improvise a lot. I started creating a storyboard that I sort of abandoned pretty early into the shoot. So a lot of it was just me going off the dome and sort of using my imagination, letting it spill onto the screen, which isn't always easy. A lot of the editing was pretty hard. I had to replace basically all the sound in post because I didn't record any on set. Even the dialogue in the one dialogue scene is all just ADR, which you can sort of tell, but I hope it's not that obvious, you know.
So why is it worth pushing through those challenges?
Well, because the final product was a mind blowing, like career defining experience for us when you think about it. It was our first award winning movie. I know it's just a college film festival or whatever, but sitting in that room and having people clap at the end of your film and, you know, having it affect people emotionally, that's more important than any inconveniences that happen on set. And of course the awards are great and they're nice and they're nice to display in your room or whatever. But, you know, people have talked to me about the message of the film and how they relate to it and how it impacted them emotionally. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's what it's about.
Why do the stories that you're making and that you're going to make resonate with you?
Because, you know, I'm pulling them from a genuine place in my mind and in my heart. I'm not just trying to impress people with my movies. I'm trying to say something. I don't have the easiest time expressing my thoughts and emotions through words, and so through art is a much more effective way, I believe, for all of us. It's really the greatest tool we have to be human in an era where people seem less and less human. People are trying to replace humanity with all sorts of insanity and technology, and so you have to create stories that you know are real and are true to you, because that's all we have, really. It's all we have as humans.
So is Crimson Violet Productions important?
Yeah, it's very important to have independent, production companies out there that are making films. A lot of people say that they are going to rely on A24 to be the big independent production company, but like even then, they're not very good at distributing movies. They're starting their own AI division, which feels like a betrayal in and of itself. And so you can't rely on corporations to distribute good quality art anymore. You have to do it yourself in a way. You have to rise up. You have to stand up. You can't wait for the opportunity. You have to create your own method of getting your stories to the rest of the world. And so, Crimson Violet Productions is my way of doing that. And when I created it, it was just me, and now it's grown into this big network of all my friends, and it's going to continue to grow. And I sure hope it does. I think both aesthetically and otherwise, it has a lot of potential as a business.
That's my last question.
That was your last question. Thank you so much for the questions, and thank you, Tarp, for falling, and thank you for watching.